And now, turn off anything that pings, chimes, and rings, including your conversations. Buckle up, amigos. It's showtime.
Have you ever dreamt of a world of fantasy and wonder? What if there was a whole other world right under your feet? A world full of imagination and endless possibilities. Would you dive down the rabbit hole? What if I told you there is a culture of glorious glamour filled with a plethora of pleasantries, curiosity, and a worship of an alternative fantasy made real? A world where everyone loves a top hat, the gin is always flowing and cake is always on the table. You'd call me mad, entirely bonkers, but I'll let you in on a secret. All the best people are, and we're all mad here.
On a cold April morning, the clock strikes 13, 1001 shades of grey. Follow the leader and drink down a cup of compliance, but I don't need your thought control. I've got my own brave new world. Don't be afraid of the dark. It's just a place for your mind to wander. Far away, come back another day. Oh, don't be afraid of your heart. It's more than a summer, it's ours. So follow me, far away, curious, curious world. Until curiosities, wheels within wheels, wonderful realm of macabre. Welcome to my love affair with the strange yet familiar. Embrace the eccentricity, a sweet but twisted symphony. Don't be afraid of the dark. It's just a place for your mind to wander. Far away, curious, curious world. It's just a
This is Steampunk. An alternative scene that celebrates 19th century fashion, beautifully fused with science fiction and fairy tales. Described as if 100 years from now happened 100 years ago, this innovative culture can be anything one desires, from the Wild West, high-class Victorian, all the way to a dystopia run on steam power. Notable sources of inspiration include the works of legendary storytellers from the Victorian era, such as Jules Verne, Mary Shelley, and the famous H.G. Wells. Good evening. Are you sitting comfortably in your spaceship? Or are you watching from the safety of your time-travelling car, much like that one from the 80s film that we can't mention for copyright reasons, but rhymes with Prozac for the Trooper? Well, adjust your Nerf guns to laser and prepare for warp speed. Buckle up your octopus and put the kettle on too. And let's begin our journey into exploration of the brass jungle. We begin our journey at the Well with a splendid bunch known as the Lincoln Steampunk Society, or LSS for short. Together we drink and be merry, talk goggles and gadgets. We didn't always used to meet up at this little pub on Steep Hill. The story of our group began with just myself and a table at the Lion and Snake. But one by one, more and more top hat enthusiasts joined me, donning cogs and corsets. As time moved on, more and more members became part of the Steampunk squad. We relocated the LSS to the Well. It's really thanks to a group known as the Victorian Steampunk Society that the LSS exists at all. They chose our hometown of Lincoln as the location to hold a small steampunk festival in an old lunatic asylum, converted into a complex that was where functions of various sizes could be held. From an initial event of around 400 people in 2009, this has become what is now the biggest steampunk festival in the world. So during the second event the following year, the LSS was formed to carry on the splendidness.
What happens when everyone meets and what's the atmosphere like?
That's a difficult one, chap.
It depends on who you meet. If you meet him, you're very nervous.
Yes, that's true.
If you meet anyone else, it's very pleasant.
Is it? Oh, thank you very much.
No problem.
The atmosphere changes from our normal lifestyle. It's a lot more pleasant. We can share interesting ideas.
Yeah, we tend to talk about comics like DC, Marvel.
It's just like walking into a massive bubble of friendship and good feeling.
Family. Good meeting of friends in a good place.
Fun. Everyone shows up in, their splendour or just what they've got after they've come home from work.
And we swap ideas quite a lot.
Yeah, we swap ideas. It helps us learn different techniques on how to build things, and at the same time,
Everyone's really, really friendly.
I think it's a very lively, very sort of happy atmosphere, definitely. Steampunk is very much, about other people and about meeting people and getting to know what they like, how they experience the whole idea of steampunk.
There's lots of hugging going on.
Which is always good.
We talk madness. It's all very scary. Yes, madness is good. Yes, I like madness.
Madness juice. Everyone likes to share stories, have a drink, have a laugh, and just meet up, I'd say.
Yeah, just fun and full of laughter and creative, because you get to see what people have made and they show you things that they've done.
Just share everything, share all your cake, share everything you like, really. So
I think we're working on our clothes, working on our literature, understanding it better, and also on our cosplay. We have a lot of dramas here, and so we're doing fun things, just having a good time, and also there are a lot of shenanigans. So we're constantly, great sense of humor, quite fun things going on as well.
So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Lady Flutterby Bumblebee. I'm originally from Canada, and I love steampunk.
Howdy, I'm Patricia, I'm from Texas, and I love steampunk.
Gigs, concerts, gin, corsets, goggles, cake, guns and krakens. These are just a taste of what to expect at the event many are now calling better than Christmas. But more on that later. There are many things one must learn before just diving in. Our culture shines through the medium of what we wear when navigating the world of normals and muggles. Fashion is the forefront of steampunk, and the outside world doesn't consider a steampunk without it. There are no rules to what we wear. The boundaries of steampunk dress code are limitless. The only limit is one's imagination. There are also many different kinds of sub-steampunk dress. Explorer, aristocrat, lolita, military, mechanic, mad scientist, pirate and fairy are just some of the areas you can choose to dress. There is an endless supply of style inspiration to get your whizzers whizzing. If you can dream, you can do it. Steampunk style is neither cosplay, fancy dress nor costume. It's a whole new branch of attire which is slowly sneaking through the red curtain and preparing to take the high street by storm. Another major source for shaping up the steampunk community is pop culture. Many pieces of attire and bits of gadgetry are inspired by much loved classic fairy tales and novels. One of the biggest pieces of classic literature which has influenced us is Alice in Wonderland. The Mad Hatter, the Tea Parties and the Queen of Hearts are a perfect concoction for a Victorian fantasy about a world beneath our feet, much like how the steampunk community is a world beneath the rules of society. Alice in Wonderland is a story of how someone from the normal world becomes curiouser and finds herself surrounded by the bizarre and peculiar. A place where everything she knew was made ludicrously local. Eventually, she joins in with the madness and becomes a part of Wonderland. This story and journey Alice went on is much like how steampunks become part of the alternative scene that mirrors elements from the book. Many other tales include classics by Jules Verne, H.G. Wells and Mary Shelley, who were mentioned earlier. Iconic tales in particular are 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Around the World in 80 Days, The Time Machine, War of the Worlds, and Frankenstein. Steampunk was born out of classic science fiction novels. But now many steampunks draw their inspiration from TV shows and movies, the most popular being Doctor Who, Firefly, Penny Dreadful, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and The Wild Wild West. Even video games are becoming steampunk, such as Bioshock Infinite, Dishonored, and Final Fantasy VI.
I got into sci-fi at a very young age thanks to my family because they're a huge sci-fi fans. But it helps because a lot of people have got ideas that are inspired from different outfits. From different sci-fi genres.
Yeah.
Because steampunk itself is a sci-fi set in alternative history.
I've always been into my history ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
Well, I've always been interested in sci-fi as a kid. I started with Back to the Future and all those sort of films. So basically, I've grown up with sci-fi, and with steampunk, it's basically I started out. I bought a pocket watch, and then started I've got a pocket watch. Right, I need a waistcoat. Right, got a waistcoat, and then just branched out from there.
Sci-fi. I've always been
history for me.
I've always been a science fiction freak since as long as I can remember.
You could have a zombie apocalypse in steampunk.
Yes.
And everyone would like it. I mean, we always classify the Martian Wars, don't we, as a kind of sort of subject matter. So H.G. Wells and War of the Worlds, and we sort of expand the history upon that. And post-apocalyptic.
I think, yes, we are very, very connected because we're Victorian science fiction. We're the Victorian idea of the future.
For me, with the sci-fi and the aesthetics of it, it really connects with the sort of books that I read when I was younger. So I used to really like Philip Pullman, who wrote his Dark Materials, which I would say, reflecting back on, was a very steampunk piece of literature. And so that runs through it all, and also there's just the aesthetics that I really like, really.
People who take something from, say, Star Wars or Star Trek and just turn it into just some kind of steam-powered monstrosity, and it looks fantastic, like that steampunk R2-D2 that floated around.
And look at what I did with the TARDIS.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a full suit made to look like the TARDIS, and it's all steampunk.
Yeah.
And it all ties in with the science and technology, and it's just a big bowl of brilliance to me.
Looking back at Victorian times and looking at what they did and how they acted and how they dressed, that's really interesting, I think, and to try and sort of emanate some of that in modern society, I think it's really interesting.
Hi, my name is Almut. I'm from Germany near Frankfurt, and I love steampunk. And this is Oscar, my little air kraken. Say hello, Oscar.
Hi, I'm Jan and I'm from Canada and I love steampunk.
Early influences of steampunk came from playfully comic takes on cyberculture and adding dashes of colour to the goth scene. The term itself came from an issue of a science fiction magazine called Locus, which was published in April 1987, in which a novelist called K.W. Jeter wrote in to talk about the book Titus Anubis by Tim Powers. In his letter, he was trying to describe the genre present in the book, along with other books mentioned earlier, and his own novel. He wrote, "Personally, I think Victorian fantasies are going to be the next big thing, as long as we can come up with a fitting collective term for Powers, Blaylock and myself. Something based on the appropriate technology of the era, like steampunks, perhaps." And thus the name was born. Steampunk isn't a mainstream part of culture. It's an underground scene which is slowly emerging from the darkness of being unknown. Because of this, we have to get creative and design our own clothes, accessories and gizmos. Steampunk culture has a glorious make, do and mend attitude. We recycle, upcycle and reinvent the everyday to suit the aesthetic. A brilliant example of this is the bi-weekly steampunk craft workshop known as COGS, who meet at the Crafty Cafe in Lincoln. COGS is a great place to go and meet others to work on creations together. Here they have use of a workshop and two spaces, one outside and the cafe, to mingle and make. Let's see what they're working on.
Oh, okay.
Extravagant. Yeah. So I take I buy jewellery from charity shops.
My needles, they couldn't find
and then if it's like, because a lot of charity shop jewellery, it's not very nice looking, but it have like specific beads that I want, and then I just like take them apart and then create my own little bits and pieces.
What are you making?
Rewiring my hat. This is the old version, and I now have some colour changing LEDs, and it'll be the evolution of the top hat. I think it's about time it had something different on it. But since I'm not electrically minded, this is a bit of a Heath Robinson affair, but in the best traditions of steampunk. You just make it up as you go along.
This is off an old jumper that I had that I've taken apart, and I'm upcycling it into some dreadlocks. So I'm going to put those on a pink wig I've got, and I'll fluff all the hair up, and then put some combs in there. So I got stuck there. I have to keep pulling that through, so it's okay.
I've got a hat full of sunshine, a pocket full of happiness. I've got a hat full of sunshine, a pocket full of happiness. A jacket made of rainbows. Professor is a snappy dresser. I got a hat full of sunshine, a pocket full of happiness.
Glorious. But if it's more than just a casual hobby, what does one do with all the stuff? Ah, of course, bring it to market. Markets are also a great opportunity for steampunks who have made creating a part of their work life. This is the Leeds Steampunk Market in Bradford. Here you'll meet shoppers and traders showcasing their latest creations to the public. Let's speak with them and see what they have to say.
Take the inspiration and the ideas from what you see everyone else doing, but then go with what you want. A lot of people think that all steampunk colours are drab, but no, if you want to go for something more vibrant and bold, if you want to go for something that's candy pink and bright blue and white stripes, but made in a steampunk style, then go for it. If you want to wear a 1950s dress and put pin curls in your hair and steampunk it up that way, you know of someone that does that. So you don't have to do what society thinks you should be doing. Take a look around at all the people you'll see here, and you'll see that everyone's finding their own individuality, and that's the important thing. Don't be one of the clones, just find your own way. It's one way of going through your wardrobe, flinging things together that wouldn't usually go, and it'll work, and you're allowed to do it. It's based in the turn of the century, the Victorian era, and I always say to people, think of authors like H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. They were around in that period of time, and they wrote novels that were set in the future. So it was a future that never happened, and it's taken on a bit of a twist and gone a bit further from there. So this is why you see people from the UK and the European side of the world, because it is a worldwide thing, they're dressed with something more resembling Victorian, with a little bit more oomph added to it. People from Australia and America and that side of the world, because that period of time, people would have been dressed like they were in the Wild West. So that's why you get the Wild Western look. And everyone's just gone intrepid explorers and mad inventions, and it's all steam powered, because it would have been. And that's where it's just all, it's not just climbing out of the box, it's completely escaping from the box and going, it's just taken on a whole life in a direction of its own. So you get some people that like the aesthetics of some of steampunk, but they don't quite want to do the Victorian thing. They might be thinking, I want to look more like someone out of Boardwalk Empire, so you're moving into the 20s and the 30s, which is then where you get diesel punk, because effectively the steam trains aren't what's going, it's diesel trains, so you then step into diesel punk. But then there's all the different genres that come out of that as well.
We all love music, so it would be no surprise that steampunks even create their own. From jazz to rock, we've covered it all. Notable musicians in the steampunk scene are the notorious hip-hop and rap artists Professor Elemental and Mr. B the Gentleman Rhymer, who perform in attire and spit bars on much-loved topics like tea, time travel, and most importantly, being splendid. One of the most famous new steampunk bands, however, is a pop rock group called Steam Powered Giraffe, who have millions of steampunk fans from all over the world. In 2016, they came to the Asylum Festival and drew in a crowd which filled the engine shed and the Empire Ball on their first UK performance.
Gigi, take us home.
These
So what makes a piece of music steampunk? Well, like steampunk fashion, there are no rules. However, some things seem to remain consistent amongst the well-loved steampunk musical performers. Jazz is the one thing you'll see throughout our music, but it doesn't mean it's the only thing. On the other end of the spectrum, we have punk and heavy metal. The Men Who Will Not Be Blamed for Nothing are the most famous heavy anarchistic punk group on the scene. There's also a steampunk Led Zeppelin parody group called Brass Zeppelin, which provide rock to audiences within the community. As far as pop goes, a truly curious cocktail in this genre, her name is Alice's Night Circus, a singer-songwriter who is pop ballad's answer to Victorian fantasy. So with all these fabulous fantastical elementals, we have created a culture, one that is based on British culture, British history and fantasy sci-fi themes. We have our way of life, our literature, music and movies. Steampunk also has a way of attire, our own style which sets us out from the muggles, and our own food and drinks which we rejoice in regularly, such as gin and cake.
I saw a bunch of weirdos wearing top hats and goggles when I went on a date with a woman. And I was like, this is so bizarre and out there, I must try it. So I went and bought a top hat, bought the goggles, and I had not had a single idea what it was about. And this woman came up to me, like steampunk, and I had no idea what was that. So she told me, come along.
The fact there's like a lot of people all brought together by the same thing, and that's something that I like doing, so it just makes you feel part of something.
Well, I don't think really I discovered steampunk. I think maybe steampunk discovered me.
As I said, for me it was the pocket watch. I saw my dad's pocket watch, which he had got off his great uncle. I was so fascinated with it that I got my own.
I went to Asylum 5 years ago, non-paying. I was walking through the castle because it was a free weekend, and it was everyone's attitude. I went in and everyone was just like, hi, how are you? Wow, that looks amazing. Have you thought about doing this with it? Have you thought about doing that?
But I basically have been dressing this way for 25 years, so I think also a lot of us came in through steampunk literature.
Well, what brought me to steampunk was my roots in goth.
For me, what drew me in was probably video games. Like those video games like Dishonored, which is set in a steampunk world.
Spectacle and excitement of seeing all the costumes.
I like being another character. I like embodying the characters I make, even if they're just in my head. I can kind of be myself in a way that's not myself and just relax for a bit.
So I was in Western movies, Gunsmoke with Amanda Brake and James Arnaz and Paladin. I made a lot of appearances where I already had this mustache in 1960s, you know, so I already had this look.
Asylum 2 years ago, and I came down after the day after, and the White Rose, hello White Rose, and they were there and they gave me a tea salute when I came down. And then when my wife came down, they all stood and gave her a tea salute, and we had photos with all the steampunk.
Steampunk for me was a natural progression from goth, but there's other people that have come to it from elsewhere. So for me it was goth, but for other people it's other things.
Hello, my name's Guillermo, and I am from Boston, Massachusetts. Hello.
Hi, I'm Linda. I'm from Holland, and I like steampunk.
Often called the steampunk equivalent of Christmas, the weekend at the Asylum is somewhat like a holiday and full of weekend partying and making friends and immersing ourselves into everything brass and marvellous. During this event, Steampunks from all over the world are entertained and catered to via various shows and activities across the whole city of Lincoln. There's Punkniks, a double-decker bus full of gin, burlesque and bands, along with panels and talks designed to spark the imagination. The weekend at the Asylum is officially the world's largest solely steampunk event as of 2016. This makes Lincoln the steampunk capital of the globe. The one thing everyone takes away from this festival is the sense of community felt, but not all steampunks had their hearts captured at the Asylum. There is another wonder in that top up of the alternative. The biggest holiday in the alternative calendar is the most notorious of all, Whitby Goth Weekend. Whitby Goth gives steampunk folk another chance to escape the Muggle world for a while and walk the famous steps of the Abbey. In fact, steampunk folk love Whitby Goth so much, another festival just for us has begun, the Whitby Steampunk Weekend. Since 2016, the steampunk community grew so much that the well was no longer capable of holding us all. In fact, we grew again so much there are now 2 steampunk groups that meet up in Lincoln. The second group still meets in the well, but the Lincoln Steampunk Society now meets at the Victoria pub, right behind the castle.
It's great, like I live on a slice of special cake, with loads of ingredients. If my home is my castle, that's most convenient, because my home is a castle, and I laugh at the top of my times. My drawbridge is over a moat filled with tea, and I'm far above it. I just love it! This life of mine, like every day, is a prize that shines, lighting my way through the unsightly times to the stage where I find that the mic is mine. I love it!
We've done a lot as a group since we moved too. Meeting for craft nights, picnics and mini markets, which raised hundreds of pounds for the local air ambulance service.
Is that so eccentric? Invention just means be open-ended. So if you're special but no one said it.
Will you marry me?
Steampunk also finds its way into shaping our lives. People have found love within the community.
Oh, go on then.
And since I've got the microphone, I can be the first. Just let me say what I'm going to say. So, Dion, you are absolutely infuriating. And you make me happier than I ever thought I could be. And the one thing I want to say to you
In June of 2017, we celebrated yet another steampunk wedding.
The best ways to be splendid are to be friendly.
Manners.
Manners, absolutely.
Respect each other?
Oh yes, respect is definitely a very, very big part of it.
I would say that the best ways to be splendid are just being polite, being friendly to people. So if you see somebody who doesn't know where they're going and offering to help them. Generally being smiley, just being all round pleasant.
What does it mean to be splendid? Well, splendid to me is I wake up every day and I feel splendid.
Just to accept everybody, because you will meet people from every part of the world.
Drink lots of gin.
Gin is a good way, and also just be polite to everybody.
How many would you like?
Oh, the way you dress, the way you behave towards other people.
Best way to be splendid is be nice to others.
Always smile. Always be polite.
Be the best you can, but be kind and
be genuine.
Be genuine.
Yeah, be friendly, be nice, be helpful.
Try not to be nasty about what other people are wearing as well, because everybody has different skill sets.
In the same way, it's about being true to yourself. So if you want to dress like one way, if you want to cross-dress or, dress in a way that's not expected of, from normal society, then why not? The only way to be splendid is to really be yourself, I think.
Take the idea of being splendid as being nice.
Being nice,
Be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself.
I put on my garb, I feel splendid, I have a cup of tea, I ride my bicycle, and I feel absolutely fabulous!
And don't forget that manners maketh the man.
Hello, I'm Elena. I'm originally from Belarus, but I'm living in Netherlands, and I come here for this event today, and I'm enjoying the first minutes of the event.
Hello, I'm from Germany, and I'm a steampunk.
The thing is about a family is it's not necessarily just those you share blood with. It's those you share a drink with, share time with, have a beer with, share your biscuits with. That kind of family takes you by surprise and draws you under their wing. It's a special kind of family who may not live with you or have grown up with you, but will stand by you. That's the sort of spirit that holds the community together, like jam on a scone, sticky and sweet. No one expects on being a steampunk to being part of a bigger family. You fall down the rabbit hole and find that the weather in Wonderland is too nice to leave. Even when some people move away or are no longer able to join the meetups, you still feel the sense of community in your heart. No matter who you are, or where you're from, or where you plan to go, you're always welcome. This safety in a social setting has created a safe space for those with disabilities who are LGBT or neurodiverse. The Anxious Auxiliary Army is a support group for steampunks who are neurodiverse, need support with their mental health, or who are disabled. People in the AAA keep an eye out for people who need help with their anxiety and come to one's aid. This is one of the many ways the community looks out for each other.
Well, I think steampunks are totally and completely accepting. At least the ones I know are.
The acceptance is definitely probably one of the biggest draws.
I think it's one of the biggest perks of being steampunk is people are so openly accepting of so many different points of views and opinions.
Steampunk is very accepting of LGBT, transgender. I mean, we have transgender people who come into the group every week.
There's freedom of expression and acceptance. We don't judge.
And I get to be myself.
Whatever you can do, whatever effort you make, we greatly, greatly appreciate.
You know, the judging is so low, you know. People don't look at you like, you know, I've been to societies where people look at you based on, you know, your hair colour, your length, what your clothing is. People in steampunk look at you like a person.
I haven't found anyone yet who disapproves of anything that is a minority group, so I'm really, really glad of that.
With steampunk, I can really be myself and do what I want to do and be who I want to be.
Hello, my name is Andy and I come from Switzerland, from the Steampunk Society Switzerland. We are a small group in the middle of the Alps from Europe.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm from America and I like steampunk.
As we near the end of our journey, I want you to reflect on all the splendidness that has been done unto you and all the splendidness you can do unto others.
Look at you! I was told to make notes. So here I am! How are you?
Oh, I'm very well.
Very good.
A little lopsided, but...
Maybe it's buying a pal a pint in the Vic. Maybe it's giving another a lift so more can enjoy the fun. Or maybe it's just reminding your friends every now and again that you love them sincerely. Look to the person next to you, feel their hand, feel the warmth, and let it fill the room. That's what it truly means to be splendid. The future of steampunk is down to how you yourself express yourself. It may hit the mainstream, or it may stay an alternative. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't say it was underground anymore, but that doesn't mean it's heading for a style nosedive. Steampunk is going to grow bigger. As the various events and festivals across the world grow, so does the community. How we deal with that is down to how we act and think as individuals. There will always be ways to stay unique and find a niche to call your own within the scene.
It's a very good English custom for the weather be cold or hot. If you need a little pickup, your little teacup will always hit the spot. But the soldiers may be fighting in the trenches or a battleship at sea. But there isn't any war when the clock strikes 4, everything stops for tea.
You've both got the same temperature. So at least you've both got the same. Oh my god, oh my god. When you're ready in your weapon, then you're getting ready to dunk. Yeah. And then you'll get it down. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I always put mine at a big roll. And then it's all right, okay. And just in case you start hitting each other out.
If you need a little pickup, your little teacup will always hit the spot. But the soldiers may be fighting in the trenches or a battleship at sea.
In the event that steampunk does become mainstream, don't fear it, enjoy it, embrace it, get it while it lasts. It's only more friends you're going to make on this big old world as we fly through space at God's speed.
Does anybody want
do that, that'd be amazing.
Even though they've got, it's a strainer, it's not just special mass. Yeah. So not your position, no you haven't.
I'll do this hat.
On our journey, we have seen everything from corsets to cakes, top hats to top tunes. You've met our lovely chums from across the globe and the gin-fueled, ridiculously Britishness, bonkersness from the Vic, the Lincoln Steampunk Society. If my experiments have been a success, then one's brain should now be fizzing and bursting with ideas, with all the cogs turning. If so, then we've reached our destination. If not, wake up! You, yes, you with the little moustache, and you with the elf ears. Oh, they're your real ears. Ah, never mind. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed our adventure into the dapper dimension. To sing us out, we've got the Steampunk Choir of Notorious Excellence, or SCONE, as they're more popularly known. Or is it SCON? Anyway, here they are with a cover of a well-loved anthem. And if you don't mind it, I've got a 20-foot lizard that needs my attention out there, and there's a man in a blue box that requires my assistance as well. Anyhow, tally-ho!
Country and rising far above, on rocket fire standing, leave all behind I love.
We shall fight on Mars. We shall fight on the dead seas and the red sand. We shall face unflinching the airless cold and dark. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our world, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight in the craters. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight on Mons Olympus, in Tharsis and Elysium and Utopia. We shall never surrender.